everyone and welcome back to another Sims 4 video. I am so excited to finally bring you this long-awaited video. As you now heard 1,000 times, I've done the very exciting and gobsmacking thing of building lots for the official Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature pack. Over the last couple of months, I poured my heart and my soul into these 3 lots that I built, and I finally now get to show you them properly. As a disclaimer, I am recording this with the early access of this pack, so my gallery name is floating around the screen, but I just want to say a massive thank you to The Sims and to EA for giving me this amazing opportunity and making all of this possible. If you do want to purchase this pack, do consider using my creator code to support my channel. With all of that aside, let's get into this video. I have created 3 builds. We are currently in my starter home, which is, every time I look at this, I just want to actually cry to know that this is going to be shipped with the original game, with the actual pack. There is just no bulldozing this. There's just no getting rid of me. I'm just forever immortalized in The Sims, and I think that is just so, like, it's such a proud moment for me, knowing I've played The Sims since I was, like, such a small kid. Baby Sandra would not believe what is happening right now. I have done 3 building videos on how I created my build. So I've created an in-depth building video to show you, to take you along behind the scenes, but also as a little memory keepsake for myself. But also, I know we all love a good behind the scenes, a little bit of lore here and there. I will just relatively show you what the finishing, I suppose, decisions were. We'll do a tour. We will take you along all of these exciting things today. Let's start off right here. So I've created ourselves a little sim here. This is one Mary. Okay, these buildings in the background are pissing me off. Okay, this is one Mary Shores Road. To take you on a very quick behind the scenes kind of why did she make this in this way. I live in Ireland, obviously. I was inspired heavily by the buildings and the architecture that I see around me every day. This little neighborhood, Admore, inspired by a location 30 minutes down the road from me. So I thought I was actually in a very blessed position to be able to take as much research as I could from real life world, like my real life outside my window kind of research. I thought that was amazing. So I really hope that you guys understand the message that I put behind all of those builds, such as like the little round tower feature that is a main feature in a lot of Irish builds. You know, we've got amazing overgrown landscaping. You know, the nature literally actually grows so quickly here. I have to cut the grass like every 2 minutes, especially in the summer. It's actually bizarre. This is where it gets really funny because obviously we all know, I think we're all on the same page with this, is that when you're building for a Sims pack, I've done many challenges like this, but you cannot use cheats. You cannot use alt placement. You cannot use move objects. You cannot put too many items on one lot because this has to be optimized for every single console, computer, laptop, whatever you play on. This has to work on every... Okay, please, if I move out of the way, please. Thank you very much. This has to be optimized and playable on every single system. So there's almost like a combination of items, a number of items, a number of colors, a number of swatches that you need to be careful when using, because all of that almost logs in the playability of this actual build. So when you're looking at a lot of this and I'm telling you that I wanted it to be overgrown, but then you look at just 2 plants out the back, you kind of have to understand that it's a metaphor that I'm trying to portray, because as much as I wish I could, I would overgrow this whole place, which we will be doing a video like that, actually, just letting you know. We will be refurbishing my own builds with like move objects and things. I think that would be fantastic. There's going to be a lot of disclaimers that I'm explaining to you guys, but just know that all of these little features are really highly inspired by homes around me. And actually, I've taken a lot of research before we started this pack months ago, when I was just still living on a high. We actually went on a road trip, like near enough to me, around like coastal kind of areas, because I knew, like, you know, when we started the project, we were given a brief about what this will look like. I've taken a lot of pictures, which unfortunately I cannot show you, but in my build videos, I do show some sketches that I've created myself as well that I think are pretty interesting. But yeah, I picked out the blue color because I thought it was a very nice like nautical coastal vibe, but also blue is my favorite color. So side note, Sandra went a little biased and decided to go for a blue shade because blue is my absolute favorite color. And looking at those like purple, kind of lavender purple flowers, I wanted to portray a little bit of that fairy magicness still within this house, even though this is supposed to be just, you know, this is just supposed to be a regular starter home, nothing too extreme. Anyways, let's get into the inside. So let's do it, I guess, like a real life tour. You may be wondering, why the heck is a mailbox over there? You know, in Irish homes, you wouldn't really have a mailbox on the side of the street like this. You just wouldn't have a mailbox on the side of the road. Our mailboxes are actually attached to our doors. That's how people people put letters through. Unless you live, you know, out in the countryside and you have like a massive stone wall, then yeah, you would have a mailbox attached to the stone wall. But that's why I kind of wanted to make sure that the mailbox is more so close to your house, to your door, rather than on the side of the road, because it's just not like that in Irish homes. So I thought that was interesting. I wish one day we'll get like a feature where we can put the mailbox on the door. I think that would be pretty interesting. Anyways, over in this house, you will see, okay, don't look up there. Up there is what we actually call design flaw, okay? This, if you watch my video, you know why I left it this way. There was just something that was pissing me off about me putting down a section, so we just ignore it. That's where the birds live, okay? Anyways, you will see mainly base game items in this house, purely because there is a lot more enchanted worlds and homes within this pack. But my job, a part of my important tasks, was to create a home that would have just a regular standard Irish, a landlord special pretty much, you know, to create you a starting point. Because if you are the first person to download this game and you've no other packs and you're like, oh my god, I just got this game for my birthday, what do? I wanted you to feel like you can go in just to this regular house and still start almost like a regular life. You don't have to be a fairy. You don't have to be a mystical lover, whatever that means. But I wanted you to still be able to be like, okay, that looks like a really old kind of country home. And that's essentially what this was. I wanted you to have enough space within this home as well. That's why you may be feeling like it's a little bit empty on the side, but we've got new things like the apothecary table, a beautiful new bookshelf. I wanted you to be able to get into this house and do whatever you want to do with this house. I wanted this to be as neutral as possible. Now, there was a couple of things that I needed to add, such as this new nature press, which is a very cool introduction to that kind of more mystical nature vibes, and also the new plants, for instance. I don't know. I mean, there's so many amazing, beautiful things and items that I love in this pack. So check out my build and buy build that we do as well if you wanted to check more of those out. But looking at the inside of the house, I primarily went with green. Green being the color of nature, green being the color of Ireland. I don't know what you want me to say. I felt green was a very natural color to work with in the space, but I didn't want it to be too dark, because you don't want to set a personality into a starter home. You want anyone to be able to go into the house and be like, okay, my sim can fit here. And in your head, this might seem like a boring thing to do, but you've got to understand, this is a starter home for the official Sims pack. I didn't have the freedom to put whatever I want into this pack, but also this has got to be so timeless that in 10 years time, when you're playing this game, you're going to be like, okay, this is still a regular home. Then we've got a regular little blue bathroom. I thought maybe, you know, more blue would be really fun. We've got some toilet paper. We've got no hand towel. Forget about it. You just dry it on your little pants. Doesn't matter. We've got this little bathroom. I actually really like it. Bathrooms in Irish homes, but also in starter homes, should be quite small. So it's kind of perfect. I mean, we've got a little toilet nook. We've got a shower. We've got a sink. What else would you want? We've got a beautiful view out onto the city. I mean, not city, town. And then we've got a kitchen downstairs. That is the plainest kitchen I think I've ever built. But again, it was like a race against items. You've got to pick all of the items that you want. And if something is just not working, we remove it and we move forward, because I want you to be able to download this house and be like, right, well, I want to put my own plants into this. Grand job. I've left you that space. I've left you that almost blueprint. Okay, what is she doing? She's being a bit weird. That's okay. Anyways, so then you're like, oh, but where's the bed? Well, the bed is upstairs, guys. Oh yeah, also there's the door to the back entrance. So upstairs, as you go up these narrow little stairs, you've got your little loft area. Now, this is a little bit of a glitch, so I'm not going to even show you that. Let's just move on. Again, I wanted this room to feel very big. I wanted you to have opportunities to expand. I wanted you to put whatever items it is in here that you want to. I wanted you to maybe put a little desk there, even though I really couldn't at this point because I was at max capacity of items. I wanted you to be able to expand this to your own abilities. That's why I created this like little area with the rug to suggest, yeah, there could be like a little chair. There could be like a little crib if you decide to have a baby, if you want like a partner to live with you in this house. I wanted this to feel like you can do whatever it is you want in this build, and I think that's pretty interesting. And even though, you know, even looking at it from down here, it does look a bit like, oh god, there's nothing in this room, but yes, that is the way we were kind of, you know, going with this. I also really wanted to think about the possibility of expansion of this house. I wanted to be able to give you this section right here, right? So imagine this. You add another door right into this location and you create yourself another little square, and you've got a downstairs office, you've got a baby room, you've got a dining room if you wanted to, you know. So there is possibility of expansion. I mean, it is a pretty big lot, to be honest with you, and just to show, you know, there is possibility of things that we could do. do, and as I said, I will do like a refurbishment video maybe of this build, so I could maybe add like a second bedroom or something. I think that would be a lot of fun. So there is potential, there is ideas that this house could give you. I mean, when you're watching that build video, you see me going through so many different stages of this build, but I already kind of had a set image in my head of the shape of it. I know it's not a very standard shape, because when you look at the outside of the house, it's not just like a regular rectangular home. There's round features, there's this thing over here. So it's definitely a very personalized feel, because the way that I was building these was essentially with sketches. Like, I sketched out all of my rooms. I knew how many tiles I wanted my kitchen to be. Like, that's how specific I was. I wanted there to be open space. I literally, that was like the max amount of tiles for the bathroom. I was like, we can't go anymore. Like, we're just not going any further with this. And then I was like, look, if somebody wants to add a second bedroom, they can. Upstairs, I mean, the round feature was a little bit of a difficult thing to work with, primarily because round walls are sometimes just hard to work with anyways. You get it. But I still kind of like the way that it turned out and the beautiful lighting coming through. It's a nice, airy, breathable home, bright colors, a neutral vibe, so you can come in and, you know, add your own touch into this. And I just cannot believe that since this is a starter home in Admore, which is kind of like the normal location, the normal neighborhood, people will probably more than likely go into my house as their starting home, because, you know, as I said, if you're not going to be too interested in playing with fairies instantly, you know, they'll be like, okay, well, what starter home do I go to? This is the starter home that you will go into. And that's why that felt so incredibly, not to say difficult, it wasn't difficult, but it was definitely challenging and anxiety inducing, because I obviously wanted people to look at this home and be like, wow, that's a lovely little starter home. It's got character, it's got something. It's not just a regular boring old square, you know. We wanted to make sure that all of our builds look slightly magical in a way, and the fact that I come from Ireland, I wanted to show that too. So thinking about the idea that there's going to be people out there just going into my house, looking at it, being like, oh, what is this? Why is this the way it is? It was so scary to think that people will have so many different opinions, because this is like your hub. This is like your center of starting your little family in this location in particular, if you wanted to just live a regular life. And I thought that was, yeah, that was very scary, I must admit. So overall, though, obviously, I absolutely love this house, and every single feature you see of this, I thought about 1,700 times. Like, every single thing, even to like moving this hose to the left or to the right, every single thing, my cat is running around the place, every single thing was like to centimeter measured out, you know, decided. Even the fact that there's like a little bit of gardening. Okay, gardening lore, obviously gardening is a major part of this pack, but also I've really wanted to have gardening anyways in this build, because gardening is my favorite way to make money in The Sims. It's like an amazing OP rags to riches starter house for you, because you've also got this to suggest gardening is great, you know, that kind of way. So yeah, there is a lot of like little personal touches, such as like the gardening, just say for instance. Obviously, if you know my builds, you know I love these kind of plants, and this like rock is my favorite. So the landscaping is also a little nod to my own building style. Obviously, this is my build. This is obviously my building style, but it's a little different to what I normally build. But I'm glad that I was one of the builders to bring a little bit more contemporary, modern style homes. Obviously, all of the other builders are amazing, and I will try and link them for you down below as well. But they're so talented, like at all these mystical builds. And obviously, I do love myself a good mystical build too. The fact that I was a part of this pack too, at times I was like, oh my god, how am I going to pull this together? When you look at the builds that I built, my other one is over there, we will visit it in a minute. When you look at all those builds, the builds that I built, I think you can really see my style through. It's quite expensive, right? So obviously, I wanted it to feel quite nice and grand, because inspired by the location, all of these homes are quite big. Obviously, these are quite tiny, but I didn't want my home to be that tiny. I wanted it to fit the neighborhood quite well, so I made it quite big. So that way, it actually leaves you only 20 simoleons to begin with, which is not a lot of money, right? It's not. But the amazing thing about this pack is that you can literally click on the ground and say forage here. And once this lady goes out foraging here, Oh, okay. Oh, the welcome wagon's here. Oh, Lord above, this is great. If she goes foraging, she will be able to find things instantly. So this is a very good rags to riches money-making pack. And of course, there's also a new job as well coming. Okay, I found some sage. Instantly, 3 simoleons, and we can plant that into the back garden. Okay, there is people at my door. And actually, the people being this little lady right here is Flora Ladipo. Flora is very sad currently, but she lives over in that house over there, which we will visit in a minute. She lives with her husband, Ao, and they have a daughter called Iris. And I will take you through that lore in a minute. Also, this is a very scary looking lady, but I love her. One last little note I want to mention of this house is it really taught me how amazing this backlight is. I don't know whether you've seen me use this recently, but look how beautifully that light is emitting on that back garden. I mean, that is fantastic. So that is something that I kind of learned with this pack, which was so bizarre to me. I think at night also the house does look quite cozy, and it looks quite like, you know, like imagine your first night, you just got the game, your first night your sim has gone to bed, and you're like, oh my god, it's like a small little shabby chic home, and I do really love it, and I can't wait for you guys to get it in the game. Funny thing is, I will just tell you a little bit about the terrain. Okay, she's about to wee herself, but just forget about it. The terrain, I really love to do terrain tool where I take these little cobbled together stones, and I like to create, you know, little details with some like stones. Now, the stones may be impeding you from actually foraging, because to forage you actually have to click on just grass, and I know a lot of these are actually still slightly stony area. So now that I think about it, I feel like that was a bad move on my part. So when you are in this build, just know that you have to, if you want to forage, you actually have to click on more so the grassy areas. Also, one of the funny things was the last thing I was asked to add was this pond, because you now have other interactions you can do in this pond, such as look for frogs, play in water. You can't bathe in it, which now I feel like I should have made it a little bit deeper, but looking at the fact that there's just a pond in the middle of a town, I kind of thought it was a little bit silly, so I didn't want my pond to be too big, but it was still an accent that was a necessity to the build as the team suggested. So I think it's to do with like playing on water, looking for frogs and things like that. So I guess it still adds a nice bit of balance, and if you do get like the fishing plaque, you can fish in your own house, so I think that's also really good for rags to riches. But I think that's pretty much like all of the house lore. This little path, it took me like 17 years to figure that out. I was like deleting the path every 2 minutes. I would like go to sleep, wake up, let's do the path again, and I'm still like not 100% happy with the path, but I don't think I'll actually be 100% happy with anything in this build, because I'm like obviously my own worst critic, but I just hope you guys will enjoy this. Anyways, let's move on to my Ladipo household, which is stationed so close to my starter home. So this is where my starter home is, and just as you zoom out, over here is my Ladipo household. That the wife that lives there, the woman, is right there on my porch, on my lawn. I built 2 homes in this neighborhood and one in Spruceberry Grove. I thought that was like the perfect combination of my style, honestly. But yeah, we can explore the world a little bit more when we're doing more like rags to riches and other little videos that I have planned for this. But right now, let's move to the Ladipo household. Well guys, welcome to my Ladipo home. This is called 42 Norm Fair Drive, and the first thing when I heard that that is my lot name, I thought it was so weird, because not to give you like too much TMI, but my house number is also 42, like my real life house. So when I saw that, I was like, are you inspired by my house, or like what's going on here? I thought that was really funny. This home though, oh my lord above, let me tell you the story of this home. This was probably, I want to say, the most challenging home that I built. I thought maybe that the bar in the Spruceberry Grove would have been more challenging than this, because it's a different style for me. But this, to encapsulate what I wanted to show off, was very, very difficult. So obviously this house is also inspired by this neighborhood. I obviously wanted it to fit in as much as possible, but also it's a nod to the kind of terraced homes that we have here in Ireland. So you would have a main street, small little villages would be like lined, the streets would be lined with homes. They all would be a slightly different shape and definitely a different color to each other. So I wanted to show that. So it's almost like a snippet of that terraced row of homes that you would normally see in our little towns and villages. But to make that into a family, like resident lot, like nice Irish little mansion, that was a lot of work. So I wanted it to feel like belonged in this world, but also was slightly more refined and polished. And you will know this because the family, the couple that lives in here, they're quite more like tech savvy. They're more like modern and hip, which I just love the fact that that's what I got to build for The Sims. Like, that's amazing. We'll get into that in a minute. But I did also get a brief of what the vibe that we are trying to portray. And also I got a description of each one of the characters, what they like, what they don't like, what they're kind of interested in, you know, what like AO prefers, what Flora prefers, how they spend their time. Over the last couple of months, I used to like get into their character. I was like, is this what an actor feels like? Because I was like, I used to go to bed thinking, right, so if I was AO now, would I want to go in the computer or what would I want to do? I was literally like getting into the spirit of these characters, and I was like, Sandra, what are you doing? People are not going to care that much, I don't think, but I cared because this was going into the official Sims pack. So every single thing you see here, every single feature, you will also see in my build video, this was all sketched out. I actually struggled with the shape of this house probably the most, to the point where I started this like a couple of different times. Now in the video, I don't show you many different versions of the homes that I worked on, purely because, as we've learned, you know, you have restrictions, but you also have to manage expectation when you're showing these kind of builds. So I didn't want to show too much to get your hopes up, just in case you would prefer like my first home. I wanted to be happy myself about it, you get me? So once I figured out the shape, that's when I started recording and showing you the process of building this. But just know I had like sketches, drawings, graphs, everything. There was notes. There was literally like a little handbook of notes. Like, I'm not even kidding you. And one of you guys suggested that I should like frame the notes, and I think I actually will. I think I might do like a little collage of like my notes. I'll print out a picture of the pack, probably print out like a Deligracy's comment on my video. That was insane. The colors, let me talk a little bit about them. I wanted them to be symbolic. Every single thing in this house is symbolic. Well, not the windows or whatever, but the green obviously symbolizing Ireland. Orangey kind of reddy tone. I thought it was a very nice nod also to the Irish flag, but also to just the contrast of colors. They do complement each other, and also choosing orange next to green will make the green and the orange stand out a bit more. So obviously color theory. And of course, blue being my favorite color had to make a reappearance. So this is why we've got this house. That's the way it is laid out. That's the way it is positioned. The windows in each part are different because, again, I'm playing with the idea that this could have potentially been 3 homes at some stage. This could have been like the green home would have been someone's house, the orange home would have been a little sliver of someone's home. The blue house could have even been a shop at the bottom, because that's a very common thing, which you will see actually in this neighborhood. That's a very common thing, to have like a shop below and living upstairs. But maybe this couple, since they are quite, you know, like wealthy, I guess, maybe they bought this house and refurbished it. From 3 little homes, they made one big beautiful mansion. Okay, beautiful. I'm tooting my own horn, but that's why it was a little difficult to create this and make it feel like it's not just standing out like a weird block. So I also wanted it to feel still quite polished and slightly modern. That's why we're touching off of like that dark roof, white trim, very modern vibes, but obviously still nice nods to that pack and to that like whimsical Celtic, you know, design, which I think is quite pretty here as well. So we've got the new chairs and stuff outside. And I also added, if we're on the topic of outside, I added little gnomes. There's a little secret gnome right there, and then there's also another little secret gnome right there. So I thought it was pretty interesting to add these little nods as well, because as you will learn a little bit more about the lore, their daughter is fairy. She's fairy girl, so we needed to make sure that we're kind of showing that a little bit. As you would have also seen in the trailer, my god, the fact that my silly little build was in the trailer, I just could not believe it. So I was very happy. This is like, I want to say, the main family of the pack. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, they're definitely the main people, but no, obviously they were in the trailer, so we have to have importance in these people. So the fact that I built their house was actually bizarre, insane. Anyways, let's maybe get into the inside a little bit. So I was told not to use much outdoor plants. I still did, because I was like, I can't not, because it's Ireland, things are growing, and I still wanted to add color with the planter pots. So, but yeah, I also added my little trellis that you maybe have seen me do like a numerous amount of times in my build, and like my little thingies. I don't know what these are called, but yeah, there's a lot of detail everywhere. But I still really needed to feel quite organic, but also still quite polished and modern, because obviously that was my task, to create a little bit of a modern Irish mansion, which I'm just obsessed. Anyways, I think we should do a little tour before we go in any further. Let's do a little walkabout tour. I think that would make a lot of sense. So as you come in through the front door, you are greeted with my favorite floor. I can't believe this floor is from base game, obviously, and it is literally like, I wish I could have that kind of like herringbone design floor. It also makes sense for an Irish home to have something like that. It's nice and worn a little bit as well, so it's quite pretty. But instantly, you are greeted with nice modern touches. So we've obviously got like, you know, some curtains. We've got a lot of tech. Tech was something that I had to add quite a bit. So I've got light switches. I've got the alarm. Okay, I've got the coat rack. That's not very tech, but we've got like kind of techie items that I don't normally reach for, but it was a very interesting thing to be able to implement that. We've got some beautiful artwork on the walls, and we've got a nice little long hallway with more artwork. Let's maybe head on over to the bathroom first. I'll explain as much as I can in each room, but just know that there are like technically 2 bedrooms, 2 offices, and actually 3 bathrooms in this. So this was a big house. Like, I must admit, that's why I said this was one of the most challenging homes, because it is quite big. This is bathroom number 1. It is quite an awkward shape. Honestly, the way I built this house, I spent so long on the outside. Obviously, I sketched the inside too, but this bathroom was like a nightmare. It was a pain to do this bathroom because I didn't want the toilet paper to look too awkward there, but I couldn't use move objects, obviously, or alt placement. So it's a little bit awkward. So I do admit, if people are like, why does that look like this? That's because I couldn't move it in any particular way, and things were like clipping into each other. So look, I think it's quite nice. We've got some of the new plants, and of course with the birthday update, I was allowed to use, you know, those tilings, which I was so extremely glad of, because they do make the house look nice and modern. Anyways, let's head on over to the kitchen, where actually the first little bit of lore begins in the kitchen. So when you first get into this house, you're like, oh, beautiful couple, lovely married couple. I wonder what they get up to. Well, when you go into this kitchen, you're going to be like, oh, stunning, modern aesthetic. And then you're like, ooh, why is that chair the way it is? Why is that chair in the corner? Well, guys, this little chair was the nemesis of this whole experience. No, I'm joking. This little chair was something that I thought about for a very long time. I wanted to reflect on the fact that there was a 3rd member of this household, which you will see her bedroom upstairs. So obviously Iris kind of like ran away from home, just say to live her fairy life, a grand job. But her parents still absolutely love her, and they want that little bit of memory to stay. So I wanted to show that with little aspects in the house. So I wanted this chair to feel like, look, they've had 3 chairs at the table, and now the 3rd person is gone, but she's not forgotten in their hearts, you know? So that is what is quite important for me here. So I had that chair in like multiple different ways, trying to figure out which way would look good. And then we had like a rectangular table. We got a square table. And then I was like, look, maybe round will have a better flow of the space. I was going back and forth. I didn't know what to do with the space, but the team actually really liked that chair. They were like, yeah, let's do something like this. And I was like, okay, let's try it, because I wanted you to be able to ask questions, to be like, okay, well, there's something weird going on in this house. Let me read up about the lore, because the lore is such a big part of this pack that I think with a chair like that, I really added to it. And I think that's fantastic. Every time I think about that chair, I'm like, oh God, there's just an awkward chair. And now that I think about it, you know what? I feel like I shot everyone in the foot a little bit, because when you have family over or whoever, if you make a meal, someone's going to sit on that chair and they're going to just eat in the corner, and it's going to look ridiculous, but you get the idea. It's for the lore, guys, whatever. Anyways, let's head on over to the trailer room. So this is the room. This is the sitting room, right? So I really love the vibe. Blue is my favorite color again, so we had to do it. Very nice, like rich vibes, polished vibes. Love it. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I would love this house. Like, I love it. It's base game and I love it. Yeah, it's amazing. But I think the trailer was like filmed from here, and obviously the house was like changed slightly for the trailer. They added like a second archway, but oh my God, when I saw that trailer and I was like, wait a second. I paused the trailer instantly and I started bawling, crying, because I was like, I built this house. I've sketched this house. I've taken pictures of homes for inspiration. I sat down over the last couple of months and I made this house, and now it's in the trailer of The Sims. Like, I have to stop every once in a while when I'm recording these videos, because I'm like, I'm going to start crying, and I think it's bizarre. So this is this room. I really love it. So I had to add more kind of techie vibes things. That's why there's like tablets, there is like music, you know, things, you know, there was just a lot of natural kind of lore. And then this is something that I'm so happy I got to put into a Sims build. This is a little art studio, because Flora, the wife, is actually an artist. I'm a bloody artist. This just felt so right for me. I went to art college for 5 years and I thought, that was the biggest waste of my life, to be honest with you. And now here I am building for The Sims. So things will really all come around into a massive circle. I built this studio space for Flora to be able to create beautiful paintings with this beautiful sun coming through these amazing like sun windows. She's got a little computer. She's got some photography equipment. She's got a digital sketch pad. I just could not believe that I got to build an artist studio for a Sims pack. Being an artist, that genuinely meant so much to me that like it was a little bit overwhelming at times to figure out what the heck I'm doing, but I was just so happy. So I don't know what to say to you about this room, but I put a lot of thought and effort into this room to make it feel like a room that I would love to be in. This wall kind of pissed me off though a little bit because I couldn't figure out what to put on that wall, and obviously I can only use a certain amount of objects, so you get the idea. Anyways, I'm not going to talk about this too much because I feel like I'm actually going to burst into tears, so let's head on over upstairs instead. Right, heading up the stairs, we have nice like big open window. I kind of like that idea of having a window here because I actually have a window like that in my landing. It's a very common thing in Irish homes to have like a window on the landing space. So I thought that's why that window is there, because I have one and my cat keeps sitting on it because there's magpies coming to the window. Anyways, this is a long, boring hallway. I couldn't put too many other items into this hallway. I didn't want to put too many other paintings because I was actually running out of paintings that would fit this shape or this house. We've got a little book nook here, which I actually really like. It's nice to have another little space that even if you do play with the little household, you can change a space into something else. You can even change that into a separate room if you wanted to, Let's just check out the upstairs bathroom. That's just another bathroom. I mean, it's a little bit boring. It's just a little bathroom. Let's check out actually Ayo's little room. So Ayo also being a little bit more of a tech savvy, even more so than Flora, because Flora has like that artistic kind of, she really loves indoor plants. She kind of loves nature in that respect. Whereas Ayo is more so like, okay, I love tech. I love going on my computer. I love like writing. That's why I was like, I still have to put a little plant in here because it wouldn't be my house if I didn't put a plant. That's why I put a cactus in here, because I was like, I betcha he just wouldn't really care about that plant. It's a cactus. You water them once every 2-3 weeks and that's all the maintenance you need to do. So I thought that was like a really fun touch of this room, to make it feel like, okay, we still have a house plant in here because this is still Enchanted by Nature pack, but it's like, it's like a little cactus piece of diva, please move. It's just like a little low maintenance plant for a low maintenance guy. What else can I say, So the rest of the house was quite bright and like colorful as well, but I wanted this room to still imply that it's still like dark, techie, kind of modern, like it's definitely like a touch of me and my style. So I really, really love the fact that I did this here. We've got some beautiful little designs like that here on the wall. Still nice, vibrant, flowers peeking through from the outside of the window, a clock on the wall because that's tech savvy as well. But yeah, I really like his little office. So I think this is, so it's kind of cool because Flora has her own little art studio downstairs. Ayo has a beautiful office upstairs. It's fantastic. They have like two sides of their own house. I mean, this house is like my dream house. Like I would live in this house if I could. Like that is, it's just fantastic. Anyways, then straight out here is their bedroom. So very tech, okay, well I was gonna say very tech savvy, no, but they have a TV. I mean, at least they have a TV. I wanted to use items to really portray that really modern aesthetic. Not really contemporary, but more so modern. And I think, I would like to think that I came across with it as best as I could. I mean, again, with using as much base game in this build, I had limited availabilities, but I think I still managed to make it okay. The lore of this room, I suppose what I could tell you about this room is there's two sides of the bed. I don't know who sleeps on which because I haven't designated their sleeping thing. I feel like I should have actually done that if that's a possibility. But I wanted left side to be for Flora, so she's got a little flower because she loves her potted plants. And then oh sorry, that's a right side. Sorry, I don't know my lefts and rights. And then this side to be for Ayo because he's more like tech. He'll probably just read a book before bed. So I wanted this to still feel like this is their bedroom. The little happy couple is in this bedroom and they have their own sides of the bed because they've been living here for years. So it's like their beautiful little home and it's all cozy and vibey. And another little piece of lore, I put this little butterfly painting here. Yes, you guessed it. as a remembrance of their little daughter that obviously doesn't live with them anymore, but they still, you know, they obviously love her and value her as their daughter. So I kind of thought that maybe that was like a little nod to the fact that, you know, their daughter is still here with them in the house somehow, you know, even though she lives in a different neighborhood. So whatever. Anyways, that's that. And then they also just have a little small like ensuite bathroom, because I just thought like it's a grand house. It's a big home. In Irish homes, it's actually very common to have ensuite bathrooms and to have like a downstairs, like under the stairs kind of bathroom, and also an upstairs main bathroom. So it didn't really feel too weird having 3 bathrooms, even though there's only 2 Sims living here, because if you think about it, there used to be 3 Sims living here. So that brings me to my final room, which we haven't checked out yet. And you might be like, why did you leave this room to last? This is Iris's room. I'm sorry if I mixed up any names in this video. I'm a little bit too excited. Anyways, through this door you go in and you will find something different. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Iris's room. I'm just so happy. Sorry, I also forgot that I painted the ceiling that color. Anyways, this, ladies and gentlemen, is Iris's room. This is where Iris grew up. This is the room that you wouldn't have seen this in the trailer. In the trailer, they obviously exaggerated that room quite a bit, but this is all that I could do with, you know, the things that I had. But this is Iris's room. Iris grew up here as a kid, moved out, you know, spent her angsty teenage years here. She's got beautiful little colors, fairy magic, a magic galore. Everything feels so beautiful and enchanted. Even being in bed and looking at that, I'm like, that is so adorable. So it's obviously a lot more enchanted by nature, built and by objects in here. So that was like the majority of them I could have used between my Ladipo and my starter home. So I really love the fact that I could really get all of my energy out with this room. And we've got the new potted plants. We've got that like green peachy kind of vibe aesthetic, which I just love. It's just like makes my little brain so happy. Okay, little brain, that sounded weird. It makes my brain very happy anyways to see that. It like almost tickles my brain in the correct way. We've got some beautiful color paintings as well to match that aesthetic. We've got her. Maybe this is like a little, you know, description that this is a girl that's gone but never forgotten. Okay, why do I sound like she's dead? She's not dead, obviously. Anyways, then we've got, you know, a little section over here with some beautiful yellow kind of plants and a little bookshelf. And then I was like, okay, I gotta put something cute in here. This little dude is my favorite thing in the whole entirety of the game. And he's sad because, you know, when Iris was probably living here and her parents were like so tech savvy, not understanding her nature, purpose, life, she probably felt a little bit of sadness, which you may have seen in the trailer. So I really wanted to show that off with this sad little acorn looking down, you know, being like, look, there is a little bit of sadness still within this, you know, these 4 walls, because she really wanted to be understood. And that's why she did go living in the other neighborhood, because she just needed to escape. And not to say she doesn't love her parents, but it was still like she was kept in a room where she wanted to express herself. So it was, you know, it was a lot for her. So I thought that was a little nod to the storyline, to the lore. So I really hope you like that. So yeah, guys, that is kind of the tour of this house. Looking at it now, looking at the floor plan, I mean, it's a massive house. Like, it's big. It's just dream home vibes. It's magnificent. Okay, magnificent is a very strong term. The best thing about all of this was that I had unlimited business, unlimited budget. So I could spend whatever I wanted to on this. So it's obviously very expensive. But like, these people obviously have like established life. I thought she would have had a relationship with their daughter. She does come up in the genealogy tree, but it doesn't come up as like a relationship, which makes me think, if we go to meet her, am I gonna have to introduce myself to my daughter? Like, we obviously know our daughter. Ao over here is an independent consultant at level 8, which is actually a really high, I guess, career. They've got pretty like high up skills in the skills that they do enjoy. So it does make a lot of sense that like they do have an expensive house, and they've been living in Ireland, I've seen this neighborhood for a very long time. So it does feel quite established. It doesn't feel like a new home at all. And I love the fact that I could build a balance of like a nice rich home, but also I built a starter home. It was amazing. I mean, I loved it. It's just funny looking at this and then seeing this little bedroom just like standing out like a sore thumb. I think it's pretty funny. And also I love the way it's on like the green side of the house, because that's also like a little nod to the nature. There are so many like small little details that even probably now I won't be able to remember everything. Oh my god, there's just a fairy flying around. Oh my god, I can never get over that. Anyway, so let's maybe move on to my last build because this video is going to be 17 years long. Let's move on to my bar build. But ye guys, I would recommend playing this house because I think this house is like so cozy and so vibey. I recommend it. And we will probably play in that too. Anyways, my final home, I was going to say, my final lot, which actually a lot of you guys on the blog post thought that that was actually a home. Well, I guess it could be. We could, oh my God, we can transform it into a house as a video idea. Write that down instantly. Anyways, so as you see here, we're at the coast of Ardmore. So this is where we just came out of. And this is where my bar Gringles is. I know you guys love the name Gringles. I think it is pretty funny. And then over here, we've got Everdew. So I believe, yeah, there we go. So Iris lives right here. That little ginger girl, that is Iris. So this is where she lives. And obviously this is where her parents, Ao and Flora, live. Well, guys, welcome on to Gringles, my absolute just dream bar. Okay, well, it's not a dream bar. Actually, do you know what? I think I might go in here with a sim because I do have these little firefly bug thingies and I think the lighting might be a little bit cuter, so give me a sec. Okay, so we're in here now with my sim. I guess it's kind of like evening time, which is also a very nice way to show off this build. You'll probably see this build a numerous amount of times when we're obviously doing our let's play and things like that. And obviously the main photo, actually, when we actually announced that we are a part of this pack, this is the image that they used for one of my builds, because I would like to say that this is a build I'm so extremely proud of, right? So obviously I'm extremely proud of every single build I built, but as you know, my style is more contemporary, more modern, but I'm still obviously capable of doing something like this. So I really wanted to show off my skill building with this build. So we've got my little trademark trellis idea over here at the very top. We've got a beautiful kind of balcony section kind of at the bottom, like the little whatever that, oh no, not awning, what is that called? I guess it's like front porch-ish kind of front porch thing, I don't know. We've also got this beautiful little den area where you can place some chests, which I really loved. And as you probably have already heard me say about this particular build so many times, I didn't want just this to be like a bar, just like let's go get drunk, you know, whatever. I wanted this to feel a little bit more wholesome, and I really hope you guys will see that I kind of did achieve that. So we've got like cute little areas where your sims can, you know, walk around. We've got this little beautiful fairy forest, like little circle, like little fairy den thing. So that's a very common thing, like a fairy forest, you know, whatever. Then we've got like another little seating area. Maybe you're on like a cute date. But then you also walk to the side of the house and you've got these beautiful swing sets, which I mean, like, look at them. You can also just be swinging here at the back of the lot, just like admiring the beautiful other builds over there. So yeah, your sims can also be swinging here at the side of the little build, which I love. And yeah, so that's kind of like the back of the house. The back of the house is substantially more greener than the front because I wanted to play with that idea of the house being more, not like moldy from the back, but like more mossy from the back of the house. So I did make it a slightly bit darker. I hope you noticed that little tip. There's rubbish right here, which should not be there. That is really funny. I really hope that's not. Oh, someone just kicked the bin over. I was like, I hope that piece of rubbish is not actually shipped with the game, because that would be really funny. Could you imagine? Anyways, someone kicked over my bin. I created this lovely little bin nook because I kind of thought that when you're even walking from this side, I didn't want you to see the bins. I wanted them to be enclosed, and I think I did a really good job on that, I would like to say. So I think that's pretty cute, the fact that, like, you know, that's closed off like that. We've got a load of detail, loads of overgrown nature, because again, with the nature of Ireland and the kind of climate that we've got here, things will be overgrowing so quickly. So I thought that was very important for me to portray that as much as I could. I've also overlaid these new lights, obviously with the planter pots, to make it quite adorable. And yeah, the outside, I mean, I did rework this quite a bit, but I wanted it to feel like there's so many little purple flowers and things everywhere, and I think it just looks so cute. And it's also like kind of, I don't want to say it's like the hub of the whole, you know, place, but it is kind of like the central part of this neighborhood, which is kind of nice because I want people to be able to come in here and just like hang out, you know, and be in like the central location, which I think is really fun. So I think let's get into the inside of the build, ladies and gentlemen. So ta-da-da. Okay, so you come up the little steps and you've got like this beautiful little view, which I think is actually stunning. Like, wow, look at that. Wow, there's someone really sadly walking over there. That's fantastic. Anyway, that's my sim, you know, whatever. This is like an open plot of land back there, I think, as well. So like you can build on that lot over there too. But anyways, let's head on over to my bar. Yay! Okay, so let me break this down for you. I worked on this so much. I changed so many different things. I will mention all of that in my build video, but there was a lot of different things that I've changed throughout. This was one of the last things that I've added. It's kind of like the little decline, like a little step down. I thought that would be quite interesting as well. So myself and the team kind of came up with something like this to almost break the space up a little bit, because I didn't want this just to be like a massive hall where people go dancing in the middle. I wanted it to be a bit more interesting. And all of the way Bob Pancakes is over there watching TV. That's actually adorable. Anyway, and then I was like, how do I also add a little bit of enchantment into this? Johnny's S, get out of my way. I also added some outdoor plants indoors. So that is obviously Sandra trademark as well, with that little stone. But I thought that was quite interesting. So I was so happy to hear that the team actually liked that and that got shipped in the game. Like, that was kind of like an idea that I was like, oh, they're not gonna want this. Like, they're not gonna like this. And they did. And I was just so happy every 2 minutes. Like, when we did the feedback meetings with each other, because it was like a long process, I go through a little bit more in my build videos, but at this point I don't even know what I mentioned already. But we had feedback meetings, and after every meeting I was like, I think they liked it. You know, it was just such a fun experience. But anyway, so we got like the front lobby, kind of front area, where you can also have like some fun here with your friends. Now that I think about it, maybe I should have changed that to like a games table, so maybe you could play some games here too, but you know, whatever. We've got a nice little book section here, so you can read some books, you can chillax here. Then I added a little live music section. So I know it's like a thing you can tell jokes on, but this was more so a nod to like Irish bar culture, where we play a lot of I don't play trad music. I play the tin whistle and the guitar, but that's not trad music. Well, tin whistle kind of is, but you have got a lot of trad music, and that's a very important part of like the culture in general. Like, not even just in bars, but in general, traditional music in Ireland is a very common thing. So I wanted this to feel like we are representing that a little bit in this bar, so it would almost feel like, you know, it's a bustling evening and someone's like playing guitar and playing some beautiful tunes, whatever, that doesn't matter. But that is what I wanted to add here. And I love the way all of my clutter bits stayed, and like that little collage of paintings that I did. I was just so happy. Anyways, that is my little location. Then I of course added the TV, because I mean, what Irish bar doesn't have a TV? Like, if the sports are on, we gotta watch them, you know, that kind of way. So I like the way these two Sims are just enjoying that. They're really enjoying that a bit too much. And then over here we've got the bar, which I really love the bar as well. And I love the fact that my mushrooms are here. So these little mushrooms, I've attached this one to the window to make it look like it's slightly enchanted or slightly a bit more magical, you know, or else it's just overgrowing with mushrooms because it's so old. But I really like the way this looks, and I like the idea that like we've got like the little bar bottles in the back, but still the backdrop is mainly like Enchanted vibe. So I thought that was really, really cute. And another really cool feature that I really wanted to keep, and I'm so glad we kept, was the mismatched chair. And I go on a little bit about that in my building video, but that is definitely a feature of a lot of Irish bars. Things are, you know, old. Over time they wear away. Bars like this would have been opened, you know, by families. They're considered pubs, which are public kind of, you know, places. So maybe a family owned bar like this over time would have patched up a couple of things. Maybe they wouldn't have enough money to buy a brand new set of chairs. So to make this more family and wholesome, and almost like we're working through the creases, but we're still holding on to our family pub business, we've got mismatched chairs. But I also really like how that looks. It adds a bit of like a busy vibe. It adds more of like a, not enchanted, but it's definitely busy and messy, and kind of fills in space and adds detail without having to be too overly perfect, because nothing in homes like this should be perfect. I mean, they're enchanted fairy homes. It shouldn't be like, you know, specifically perfect. So I've really liked the idea of adding all of those like vibrant, different, well, not vibrant, but different chairs, slightly different colors as well. So I'm really happy that the team really liked that idea as well. And I think even looking at it from this angle, like I could cry. Like, look how adorable that looks. I'm sorry, I'm tooting my own horn all video, but it's amazing. Anyways, then we've got a special like little board meeting area. So if you wanted to have like a specific family dinner where you gotta go and talk family matter, that's where you sit down. We've got the new apothecary storage table. We've got another little seating area for possibly a date. Then we've got some public bathrooms here. So obviously we've got two little bathrooms. They're both the same, but they still have like that slightly whimsical touch to them. So I thought that was really cool. Let's just head into the other one. We've got some toilet paper, which is very annoyingly very close to the curtain, but there's nothing I can do about that now, so whatever. Yeah, so that is like your little thing. Even looking at it from this perspective, like with the columns and stuff, that was something I played around with for such a long time, so I really hope you guys like that. But even looking at it here, I mean, it's such a busy but like cozy bar, I want to say. I added like the little details, like the little trims at the top as well, because I've seen bars in Ireland would do that before. I've obviously been to many bars in Ireland, so I think I've got good experience with with Irish bars. Anyways, the last little room that is hidden by this beautiful little curtain is this like slightly more lounge area. So this, I wanted it to feel a little bit more like a family cozy room where you can come along and just like hang out, have a nice little family meeting. And we also snuck in a little dude right here. Yes. So this is your beautiful little sunroom that also shows off this new feature that we've got in the game, which I'm absolutely obsessed with, these glass walls. I mean, look at that light coming through. I think it's just fantastic. Like, I really, really do love it. And you can like, you know, check up on the kids on the swings. You can like just sit here and watch the world go by. And I would absolutely love that. Like, sit down here with a pint, and honestly, I will sit here all day. So I really do love this room. I just really wish we could paint the roof now. That is something I've been kind of thinking about since we got this. Since I built this, I've been asking. I was like, is there any chance we could paint that? Is there any chance we could just paint that a little bit? But no, not yet. That is not something I know of yet. Anyways, so that completes my little bar build, and I think I'm probably the most proud of this bar, because if you look at this bar, you're like, okay, Enchanted by Nature, we get it. Like, this is the bar built for this pack. Looking at my starter home, you still might be like, okay, Irish vibes. This was my Enchanted build, and looking at all the other creators, they were so extremely talented, and it made sense for them to build for this pack. That's why I felt like I really needed to show as much as I could of the knowledge that I still have of building, you know, an Enchanted lot. And I really hope you guys will see that with this build, because I really did put a lot of effort and thought into this. Oh my god, that little sourpuss on him. I put a lot of effort into this, and I really hope you guys enjoy this bar, and I hope you want to bring your families in here, your, you know, your sims, your dates, your even like skill building, because you can actually like, there's a guitar here. You can actually play for tips probably, now that I think about it. You can then also go outside and go out here and play chess, like Nina is right there. So there is, wait, is that Nina or I don't know. Anyways, so there is a lot of different things that your sims can do here, but it was still a little bit nerve-wracking making sure that I'm getting that message across of that more like wholesome, adorable vibe. And I think with adding the kind of outdoor in, you know, like the nature coming through on the inside, adding my cute little acorn in here, adding like the guitar and stuff, I think it does kind of give a little bit more so like a homely vibe rather than like a night out clubbing kind of vibe, you know, obviously, because this is not a club, but it's a pub. So yeah, I kind of really enjoyed this build, probably the most out of my other two builds, because obviously my starter home, I had to make sure that it is correct. Ladipo household had to fit a brief and lore, whereas my bar, I could kind of go a little bit extreme and a little bit wild, because there's obviously no budget, and as a community lot, it has a little bit more kind of threshold of items that you can add. So I really did overgrow this quite a bit, and the team was so extremely happy with it. I feel like every time we had feedback meetings, so I can't really give out, you know, they were obviously extremely happy. It also showcases some, you know, plants on roofs as well in a very, very tiny form, you know, but yeah, it is still, I think, one of the most exciting builds for me, I think, that I've ever done. And I think I'm probably the most proud of this build out of all of the builds that I built for this pack. So I really hope you guys think that it fits the space nicely, and I hope you guys bring your sims here. I think I gave you quite a bit of lore when it comes to my 3 builds. Probably a little bit more than I've hoped for. I feel like I've overshared slightly, but I really wanted to bring you this like first-hand experience of me explaining everything, because in those build videos, we were still in the stages where I couldn't really talk too much. It was still kind of up in the air. I didn't really know what my final build would look like in the end. So that's why I wanted to create this separate video to be able to go through every single thing, because to me, every single thing was important. You may think that, oh, why is there so many chairs here? All of those chairs have an importance. All of those chairs and those plants have been accounted for. Every single thing is so important in these builds for me. That's why I think they do deserve as much recognition and kind of like support and view and eyes on them, because every single thing here, all of us collectively as a team working on all of our builds, I can tell we all worked extremely hard, and I think we all are just so proud. And the fact that this pack is coming out, everyone will be able to have this for the rest of their life in their game. Every time I say that sentence, like there's like something, there's like little fairies in my throat just tickling me. I just felt like this is obviously a dream come true, but that's why it fueled us to work so hard and make sure that our builds are spot on, because whoever buys this pack will officially have this bar shipped in it. Well, guys, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I'm going to have so many other videos coming. I'm going to try explain a little bit of the gameplay since I know a little bit about behind the scenes. Since this is my pack, I want to show you as much gameplay as possible. I also want to do a Rags to Riches, which you will probably see soon. I don't know what my schedule is going to be like because I'm recording this in the past as you're watching. But just know I'm so happy that I finally could bring you this video. This was probably the most exciting thing I've done in quite some time, and the fact that I get to sit here now just showing off my work and being so extremely proud of it is just so fun. So I hope you guys liked this too. I'm going to leave you here with my view of my little starter house in Admore, in just what always is going to be a very magical place for me, and I will never forget this experience. So thank you so much to the EA Creator Network. Thank you so much to The Sims. Thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. The fact that I get to sit here showing off my official builds for The Sims is bizarre. I know I probably sound like a broken record, but this does mean a lot to me, and if you do decide to purchase this pack, do consider popping in my EA Creator code into the promo code section at checkout, because this will support me as a creator and support everything that I've done over the last couple of months and support my YouTube channel as a whole. So that will mean a lot. Obviously, don't forget to subscribe and check out my other videos. There's so many Enchanted by Nature videos coming that you guys will just be like, oh my god, will she ever stop? No, she won't. She will never stop talking about this because this is such an achievement. So thank you so much, guys, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye.